everybody. I shouldn't say welcome to 25 North. Welcome to a very special Mutiny episode. Yeah. I don't know where to go from here because I don't usually host mutinies.
That's okay. That's okay. I'll just steal it from you then, like Davy Jones would do. Hello, everybody out there in radio land or podcast land, as we call this odd space we find ourselves. My name is Eek, and I am joined here by the two crew who have all survived in various ways this adventure that we've gone on with them through the Jewel of the Indigo Isles adventure path. And we're just going to do a nice little chat about how things went, struggles, concerns, how things went. If there's anything missed, if you left a key somewhere that you just can't open that dungeon door without, and we're just, and you're just going to come along with us. You're unwilling victims here. Kidnap is such an ugly word, but you're just along for the ride at this point. All right. So as we go, I do have some questions, some various questions. I've censored some of them from our lovely listeners here because there are some things that I'm not going to ask, such as, what you regret from high school that still lingers and comes up every 3 months like an odd hydra in your brain.
Too many
things of that sort.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly. We've all been there. It's an awkward time for everybody. All right. So I've got a couple questions after Jason goes.
Yeah, real quick. So, Rachel's here? Say hi to Rachel.
Hi.
I'm the teacher who's calling on you.
There we go, back in high school.
And Jackson is here.
Hello.
And you've heard Lunar. So,
Hi.
Lunar's here. And you heard me. We are not joined by Corey today because Corey has other things going on and is currently indisposed. So you get everybody.
I would like to pretend that Corey was just not invited because he had characters die.
That's true.
Make one character all the way through the run, so this is special.
So yeah, and real quick, Eek, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into this?
All right. Hello, I am Eek. I also go by Tyler. I am in various discords around the intranets being a goblin. I have voiced some characters over here, namely Davy Jones, who was fun. And I've also just been kind of a long time enjoyer of tabletop role-playing games. Played with Jason, played with Rachel a couple times. Have yet to play with Jackson or Lunar as much, but looking forward to it at some point. So
I'd be a problem on the table. I'll just let you know that right now. I'll create some wild thing, and you're gonna be like, "That, all right, that tracks."
I play with some people that put you all to shame. Honestly, you all are restrained comparatively.
She took us to the mystery flesh pit. She took us to the mystery flesh pit one day. I wish to forget the mystery flesh pit, but I can't.
Oh, no. I remember you talking about the mystery flesh pit, and it just kind of honestly sounds like an average Monday.
Especially when one of your players makes a bomb out of Old Spice or...
Axe body spray.
Axe body spray. That's right.
I mean, having a high school-aged boy, I can confirm Axe body spray is its own sort of mace. It just lingers in the air for many hours.
Do you remember... Well, it might just be Eek and me, because the rest of you are too young. Do you remember BOD body spray?
No.
Yeah. No, I played too many competitive high school sports with locker rooms full of young lads that were like, I'm not going to shower, but I've got BOD. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
And do you remember Tyler, do you remember the commercials for BOD? Where it was
gosh, I do.
Ooh, hot bod. Love your bod.
Oh, love that bod.
Minus the
and it would just be this random person just spraying it over themselves. It was like so bad.
The most vanilla dude, the most vanilla looking dude walking down the street, and all the smoking hot centerfold celeb ladies are just like, ooh, I want your bod.
Oh yeah. Gosh, the 90s and early 2000s were a crazy time for commercials. Things that wouldn't be aired now in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah, absolutely.
In college, I had a buddy named PJ, and we would yell that at each other just walking through the street. Ooh, I want your bod.
Incredible.
Okay. All right. So, like I said, going back to the topic at hand, we do have some questions from our viewers who I would love to just chuck at y'all and let you run with. We'll start with an easy one first. Going one at a time. What was one of your personal highlights from this experience, just playing through the AP? It can be like as a general thing, or it could be character. You know, what was a highlight that kind of stood out to y'all for going through this experience? Because I don't think any of us are really familiar with podcasting to the extent that all of you have been on this journey on so far.
One of y'all go first.
Not it.
I guess I can go first. So I guess with me, one of like my, I think, favorite moments, honestly, any scene with Zaba. I'm not gonna lie, like him interacting with the story, especially getting like the cursed sword.
Oh my
and still getting that cursed sword. Oh my god, it was hilarious. Just the interactions that Zaba had with people was a lot of fun. I also would say I really digged some of these characters that came on screen as well too. Like, as much as of a nerd that Kalupi was, I also really liked him, especially as a concept for a character. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Also, I enjoyed being in a game, but I actually finishing a Pathfinder game and playing one for the first time kind of all at once. It was really fun.
Yeah, Kalupi was an interesting character, specifically because me as the GM, I knew he was the main antagonist from the get-go. And unlike a lot of Pathfinder APs, I mean, it's changed recently, but a lot of the older ones, not so much. Knowing who, like, having the big bad be an NPC right from level 1. I think one of the very first encounters you had, not like combat encounters, but encounters with NPCs, was with the royal family. And knowing that he is the BBEG, the big bad evil guy, from the get-go was very interesting to play as a GM, because I wanted to hint at it just enough. And I think I did that because I think at one point every one of you suspected something about Kalupi, but it was also trying to restrain myself without giving too much away. So
Did the AP, from a GM perspective, one of the things I get frustrated with is when there's information at the end of an AP that the authors don't put in at the beginning. So if you don't read the entire thing, you don't know. Did the authors tell you at the beginning that Kalupi was the big bad, or did you have to? Okay,
I knew right from the very beginning.
Didn't have to read the whole thing. That's good.
This AP had a really hefty adventure summary at the beginning.
Oh, nice.
It wasn't just kind of 3/4 of a page or 1-page summary like a lot of Paizo is. And I mean, Paizo is working with a limited number of pages. You know, they have a set amount of pages that they need to put their product into. And so things get cut where they need to get cut. But Stephen and Mark didn't really have that issue because they could just print it off with as many pages as it needed. So yeah, I knew from the beginning that Kalupi and Colby were bad guys. So yeah, that was. So I'm glad that you enjoyed Kalupi, Lunar.
Yeah,
I'm glad that you liked him, and I hope I played him well enough for.
You played him really well. I liked him. I also liked whenever Timothy and Vesuviac would butt heads with Kalupi. Man, it was great.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't. I hope it. Yeah, it sounds like I did. My biggest concern was revealing too much from him, and it sounds like
No,
I
you did it
revealed
pretty
just
well.
enough to keep him suspect, but not enough that you all acted on it.
Yeah.
I have
Makes
another
sense.
Kalupi follow-up question, Jason. We can do spoilers in this. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we should probably. I mean, I already revealed who the big bad evil guy is, so.
So-
Spoilers and scares.
So anybody listening to this first, pause for a second. Hold on. Go back to the beginning, listen to the whole thing, and then come back. And then this will all make sense. Otherwise, it's just a dream. It's fine. Nothing happened.
It was all a really cool dream.
It was all
Pay
a
no
dream.
attention to the voices in your mind.
It was all the dream.
We're going to Square Enix this. We're going to Square Enix this thing and just reverse it.
So my follow-up question was, because I've been pondering on this, in our big final fight, Kalupi definitely targeted Timothy. And at first I was like, that's kind of weird, because Zaba and Sil were the ones who had it out for Kalupi. But then I wondered if you had, like, thought if it was just coincidental or if that was intentional. Like, what was your thought process there?
To target Timothy?
Yeah. Is he, like,
my
smart enough
thought-
that he was like, he's weak? Or
Yeah, so my thought process was that Kalupi is a smart enough dude that he would try to eliminate people rather than trying to spread the damage, like focus fire the damage. And it just happened that Timothy was the one who put himself in harm's way the most, so...
Well, and Kalupi knew us, too, so he would know Timothy had less hit points, and it'd throw off all of our tactics with, drawing off Vesuviak's attention and whatnot, so... I liked it the more I thought about it, but I was just...
Yeah. What about you, Jackson?
Yeah, Jackson. anything to say
I mean,
about it?
like, I really enjoyed a lot of stuff about this campaign and just the time of being Vesuviak. This is the first time in a very long time that I have followed a pre-written adventure from a published source as opposed to it being someone's homebrew. So that was a pretty nice change of pace. I'm also not often a cleric or a healer, and I really, really enjoy how clerics play in Pathfinder. Definitely one of my top favorite classes that I want to revisit whenever I get the chance. But like in terms of just stuff that happened in the game, the Cursed Sword was a really fun saga. Definitely got to show off Vesuviak's no nonsense, I'm pissed off all the time side. That's the first time I've ever played a character that was like that as well. So that was a very, very, very fun experience. There was genuinely a few moments where I thought Zaba was going to like kill me in my sleep or something.
Yeah, I got to piggyback onto that answer there for Jason. Jason, did you expect that Cursed Sword to play as much of like a pivotal role for a good long while as it did?
No, absolutely not. The Cursed Sword was interesting because the Cursed Sword was just there kind of as a cursed item. I modified it and made it a part of Zaba's backstory, taking one of the NPCs and making Marnie Zaba's old captain. So having that incentivized Zaba to try to get that sword back from Sil. So it created that conflict point there. And when I'm saying conflict point, I'm not meaning it as I don't mean it as a point where they are literally going to fight each other, though that could sometimes happen. It's more of a character conflict point. Like I wanted Zaba to really kind of weigh the cost of, does he try to disobey his captain, somebody who he respects, and try to get that sword back, or does he knowing what it is, just let it play out and live up to more of his chaotic side? So having that conflict point for Corey to really sink his teeth into was something that I really that I was striving for. So I didn't expect it to play as much of a role as it did, though I'm glad it did, because it really it gave Corey the opportunity to flex those roleplay muscles. And Rachel too.
Yeah.
Switch to evil. Love evil.
Oh, I also completely forgot to mention, when I had the stone for a little bit of time, the Jewel of the Indigo Isle, oh man, that was fun. I kind of regret not having it with me as we got later in, because I wanted to see what would happen if one of the players had kept the stone with them instead of giving it to Gus, and seeing how differently the other half of that adventure would have gone towards the end.
Interesting.
Contingencies, Jason, if we didn't give it up.
Yeah, there were.
We really were going to.
That was,
Yeah, there were contingencies. I mean, you're incentivized as a player to give it up, because you don't want one of your primary healers to having to roll twice and take the lowest, have a misfortune effect on them permanently, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I mean, at least it was Timothy, because a lot of yours are them rolling saves, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, there were contingencies in it. I don't remember where, but there was one point where the Kalupi gets the stone back, and he's just too powerful for you guys. Just kind of runs in. It's kind of a Deus Ex Machina sort of situation. Just kind of runs in.
Situational, like, I'll be taking this, yoink.
Just breaks down the door. Dibs.
Dibs. What do you mean, dibs? Dibs.
Breaks down the
Comes
door
crashing in.
like that Big Bird gif.
Just comes running in like a Kool-Aid man analogy.
Oh, man,
Oh, yeah. All right. Rachel, do you got any personal highlights of the experience through this whole thing?
I mean, I did really like the sword. That was nice to get to transition Syl to be more Fooey-like. I liked Juan's finger painting moment. That was good. Sarah's always super fun to play with.
That's right. Or Johnny's crit on the construct.
Yes.
Who couldn't get crit.
Who couldn't get crit. Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah. And yeah, Johnny and Corey's, Rodin and Rizurk's interplay was very fun too for early characters, and
Burial at land.
the burial at land.
Oh, yeah. And actually, that brings us
reaction. No, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I have to call out everyone. Cynthia's reaction when Rizurk died, I thought was really good too. I think she really got into that role-playing wise. Go ahead.
Actually, I got a piggyback question for you, Rachel, from our good friend Finder of Aston Stars. So, you're the only character that made it through the entire AP alive. So, how do you think Syl feels about, friends dying and or leaving? Did it cause that kind of shift more to bad memories coming back?
Memories?
That evil part to kind of pop out a little bit more?
I think so. If I remember right, Rizurk dying was a moment that I decided memories were coming back, but that might have just been coinciding with when the pirates were finding us. I imagine that, like I said at the end of the show, I imagine that all the old characters who are still alive came back to live with Syl. So I've pictured it as kind of that opened Syl up to more family and ultimately made them not revert to their pre-amnesic self. But Rizurk was definitely a big hit, since Rizurk is the one that pulled Syl from near death before they were a character. So
Yeah, that would be, that would probably be a big blow. Finder also wants to know, how did you survive the whole time? I have a feeling it was more like you're playing the character to where you're like, I'm not going up in front. That seems like a terrible idea.
Right. Yeah, it was very convenient that Syl, original version Syl at the beginning, was selfish and did not care if anyone else died. So it made it very natural that they would not put themselves in harm's way. And then when the new group came, they also had no attachments to the new group at first and didn't care if any of them died. So it did suit the character very well. If I had randomly chosen a different character, that would have been harder to pull off.
Makes sense. Okay, and then for everybody, everybody here, like one at a time. We'll go one at a time here. Favorite and least favorite NPC. I know I have a favorite, and that's Gus. Gus is a favorite. And you know what? Honestly, Kalupi, I liked Kalupi a lot. I almost imagined in my own head that he had a Christopher Walken type voice going on half the time when he was doing his lines. Why? Why are you doing this? And it was just like, it just made me laugh every time. So, yeah.
Peek behind the curtain there, I was actually trying to go more for a Gaston impression, but I don't think I nailed it.
God.
I don't think I nailed it.
It's okay. I mean, now that you say that, I get the vibe. I understand.
Yeah, I really wanted him to be
character reference.
What's that?
I said that's a perfect character reference for that NPC.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted him to be Gaston, but yeah, so anyway. As far as Gus goes, I know that I've been called out on it because I didn't actually finish Gus's scene. So here's a bit of a little teaser for you, if you will. In my own headcanon, fungus leshies are more fungus than they are leshy. So the mycelium network underneath the world, which exists in the real world too, I think they said like all of Yellowstone is one giant mycelium network or something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Gus is going to come back. Don't worry.
Oh my god.
Don't worry.
Love it. Love it. It's amazing.
For me, as a GM, my favorite NPC that I got to play, I really loved voicing the king.
Oh yeah.
The king was a lot of fun to role play. And then also the, gosh, what's her name? The councilwoman in Bluebell Island.
Something with the
Kalbori, I think.
Yeah. Sounds
Something
great.
like that.
No, not the Gamayan one, the Orpak one.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know her name.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun with her too, because it was a fun voice to do a Minnesota accent.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's good to bust that out occasionally.
Now I know. Now I remember. Things are coming together.
Oh, don't you know? Is
Yeah.
things are coming together there now.
There's so many ghosts.
So many ghosts there.
Oh, geez, Louise.
Oh jeez, oh golly. I don't know if I had a least favorite NPC. I'm gonna be real. If anything, the only NPC, because I wish I had more time with them, was the fucking priestess. Or the priest guy. The
Colby?
Yeah, Colby. I wish I had more time to, I guess, get more invested with his character, since we didn't really get to mess with him much when Jackson and I got brought in.
Yeah.
Yeah. As for, favorite, I really liked, I think her name was Ruby, the dragon we introduced towards the very end. I loved her, and I wish I had more time with Timothy with her, too. They would have been such good buddies. But the fact that it came towards the very end of the adventure, I was like, damn it. No. This is when Timothy's kind of fucking fed up with everything and he wants to go home.
And my inspiration for Peerless Ruby was, gosh, I forget the character's name. The pterodactyl in Land Before Time.
Petrie.
Petrie.
I was about to say Ducky, but that wasn't right.
Right.
That's the wrong
fast
dinosaur.
talker, though.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Petrie was my inspiration for Peerless Ruby.
Petrie. Good choice. Excellent choice.
I like
Just
what was she?
repeating the same things over and over again.
That's true. Was she an alchemist or a witch in Jacopo? Is that the Gamayan or the pixie place?
Yeah.
Mushroom houses.
Yeah.
Where we fought the eyesore. I liked her.
Yeah, the witch.
Yeah. I couldn't remember what she was by trade.
Oh, well, least favorite.
You know, I have characters that my character didn't like, so I could say they're least favorite. I don't know that no NPC is popping out in my brain as mechanically dissatisfying that I can think of.
Okay. That's good. Jackson, do you have a favorite?
Well, there's the thing where if you're watching a movie and the actor who's playing the villain it makes you leave the movie absolutely despising that person, like on a deep level, that actor absolutely nailed that role. That's kind of how I feel about Kalupi. I love to hate him. He's a little shit. I absolutely hate him. Vesuviak's patience was definitely gone with him, but like that's kind of what made him a very, very enjoyable character. So I enjoy Kalupi a lot. The only one I did not really like a whole lot was Colby.
Yeah.
Which, and like you said, you guys missed his big interaction scene, which was right at the beginning of the adventure. So
yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't go with the two gods.
It was cool having them there. Vesuviak still has beef with Sarenrae because he is a prideful son of a bitch and still feels like he has done nothing wrong, despite, burning down an entire village still being something pretty wrong. So I can't use Vesuviak's grudge against like why I would think Sarenrae is bad. I more just am kind of laughing a little bit about how Sarenrae is like, no, you're not gonna be a full dragon. Are you kidding me? You're gonna do the same shit again.
Sorry, boy, you're not.
It was fun though. I did for a moment there briefly consider switching allegiances from Sarenrae to Cade and Kalian.
But for future Vesuviak, it seems he's more at peace.
Yeah, mainly due to Timothy.
Yeah.
Sarenrae
He's got
safe.
dick down so good. He's
Like, so it's
he's
almost
no
like,
longer mad.
It's
All right,
The
let me
Bono
just-
ex- That's the Bono experience, baby.
Listen,
All
it's
right.
just like how Vegeta
Oh.
kind of had to be tamed by Bulma.
Yes.
All right. Let me just cross off who's the top and who's the bottom off this question that we had from. All right. So actually kicking it back over to Lunar and Jackson here, y'all came over mid-campaign. There had been a
Yes.
couple big major plot points that had happened. You both were very new to the system. Like, how did this all live up to your expectations? Because I think I remember from hearing, Jackson, you have a lot of experience in Dungeons and Dragons. Lunar, you've got some experience in Dungeons and Dragons and a couple other like kind of D20 adjacent systems. Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's like, how did that all work? Like, how'd that all work? How'd you all feel about, joining into something like this?
I'll go ahead and just say that I love Pathfinder. I like it so much more than Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, I really have greatly enjoyed this introduction to Pathfinder. There still are some moments where I'm like a little bit confused on certain rules, especially whenever I'm running my own private game with some of my buddies. But I think the system is just a lot of fun, and I'm very, very happy that this got to be my introduction to it.
Yeah. I'll say I was extremely nervous coming in just because for myself, because I've been on podcasts and stuff like that as a guest character and things like that. I had, of course, the feeling of, okay, I have to learn a system. And then I was like, okay, how is a new audience going to react to myself and my fiance being on this show? And how am I, like, what is the vibe with the group that I'm going to be going in? Are we roleplay heavy? Are we not roleplay heavy? And, like, learning to adapt with that as well, too, as we go along, that kind of thing. I'm super excited for our next adventure that we're doing. And I'm really happy this group and this podcast was my introduction into Pathfinder. It was so much fun. And when I got to do role-playing stuff, I had a goddamn blast. I'm mad at myself that I didn't keep up doing the voices for Timothy. But at the same time, I was like, okay, I gotta just stick with Timothy just so that people can get more used to him and things like that. It was, I mean, like I said, I really did enjoy the system, and I really enjoyed this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rambling.
That's
I
awesome.
apologize.
Oh, it's fine. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that your introduction to Pathfinder was good.
Very much
'cause
better than my introduction to D&D, I'll say that much.
Oh, did you get a myth dropped on you or something?
No, I had my character objectified for a little bit, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, but as far as joining in through the adventure, how'd that pan out for you two?
I'd say I was confused at multiple points because,
Yeah.
hi, peek behind the curtain. I only listened to like 2 episodes of the show, and I was like, yeah, all right, I get the gist. I have an idea of what we're getting with. And then the moment I join in, I'm like, what the hell? This is not what I listened to. Okay. And so I very much had to be like, it's a good thing I'm playing this kind of character because I didn't know much about the world to begin with. So it was perfect playing Timothy especially. And starting the world through that way.
I really liked that our characters were introduced almost like mercenaries, because I also had not really seen much of the show before I came on as well. So the fact that our characters were introduced with them also not understanding many things about the party and the world as well.
Perfect.
Felt nice. It felt like that was a very good way to integrate 2 new people into the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for me, that was somewhat intentional because I had always planned for Procta to kind of be the audience POV character, the kind of fish out of water where they're experiencing things that are completely new in the same way the audience is. And when we lost Procta, when Cynthia had a job change and, well, a promotion at work, so that took away from her ability to really play with us. But I wanted to have another POV character, and it just happened that Timothy worked really well as that point of view character, but also having the kind of the opposite end of the spectrum with Vesuviac being another point of view character, but from a completely different angle.
Yeah, it was really good.
It really worked out that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Okay, and honestly, to piggyback off that too, for Jackson and Lunar here, how did the relationship between Vesuviac and Timothy kind of evolve? Because I won't lie, when it first came out, I was like, that's a little out of left field. Maybe I didn't catch something, but I'm also notoriously dense about that kind of stuff in games that I'm in. So
This was originally my idea. It was originally my idea. Timothy, how I constructed him, is very much a flirt. And when Timothy saw his options in the party, he was like, well, I'm not going to flirt with the captain. That's going to look like I'm just that. Zaba's interesting, but I don't think he knows how to treat that, at least. And then when I think for me, as I was like coming across it, because this was 100% like my headcanon from like the beginning, I honestly thought Timothy had feelings for Vesuviac a good, like, maybe a few days into the adventure. And when he finally realized he had feelings, he was like, no, fuck, shit, no! And the scenes that we got to do between Timothy and Vesuviac before him professing like the love, I was trying to like put small things in there. Like Timothy wanted to learn more about Vesuviac before, like, you know, trying to pine, like he was pining for him, absolutely. But he wanted to like learn more about him first before.
Yeah, there's definitely it was a lot more subtle flirting as opposed to like the over the top, like laying in bed awake at night, constantly thinking about Vesuviac. It didn't get to that extreme, but I think what also might have buried the lead a little bit is that I played Vesuviac very intentionally dense because he was here to do a job. He wasn't here to look for love or look for romance. He's a scarred character because of the past that he led and the events that led up to his rampage. So even when Timothy would make a little bit more obvious passes at him and obvious flirtatious remarks about him, it just went fully over his head because he's just like, oh, he's just being weirdly friendly as he normally is.
Mhm.
It was Timothy, so it tracks.
Mm-hmm. And then this is for everybody. Was there a time you were for sure your character was just going to die? Because I can name one where I thought a lot of you were probably in a lot of trouble, and that was the witch encounter towards the very beginning.
Oh yeah, the hat.
That's where you're all in the house.
Hags.
And the hags. And that's when, Darkstar came out for the first time and everything else like that. But I was like, I'm 90% sure that Jason's about ready to kill everybody here. It's like,
Yeah, that got dicey. That got pretty dicey.
That was a point where I was pretty sure everyone else was going to die. At that point, Syl was still absolutely just going to run away with the treasure and let everyone else die. But yes, I was pretty sure everyone else was going to die then. The skin loom fight
Oh,
got
Oh
super
yeah, the
dicey.
skim loop fight.
It had reach and attack of opportunity. So once you went down, you couldn't get up and you couldn't get away. It was awful. That was, I think, my most near death.
The final encounter with Timothy, that was, oh my god, that was stressful as hell.
Yeah, we thought we were peek behind the curtain. We were making bets to see who was gonna die that night, and I had said that Timothy probably would be fit out of anybody in the party. Same with it was either Syl or Timothy. That's what I was saying. And then I remember people bringing up, no, it's gonna be Zaba and Vesuviac, or Zaba and Syl, or somebody else. Then I remember Corey being like, no, it's fucking Timothy. I also would say, I guess the other one that I was like, we're gonna die, was with the dragon that we fight.
Oh, the bone dragon. Yeah,
Yeah, the bone dragon.
yeah.
If I had not done my roaring applause spell, we would have been fucked.
Yeah, that was clutch.
mm-hmm.
That was-
Basically every single time Carrie Underwood came out, it was like
Oh boy.
a
Yeah.
godsend moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Golem almost took someone down too. Was that Zaba that I tried to make us leave behind?
Yeah,
Think
that's
so.
right.
Yeah.
And then we
The rope
came back
golem?
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes the dice tell, it's a cliche to say, but the dice tell the best stories.
The dice
Yeah.
and story they would tell.
Yeah, when it came to that bone dragon, it was, yeah, it would have been rough because the roof was going to collapse.
Shit.
If you remember, he was taking out those pillars.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad it happened when it did, because otherwise that roof would have collapsed and it would have been good night, sweet prince to
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
to
I love arena
Vesuviac and
hazards like
Zaba.
that.
I think were the two that were in the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would have been rough. Oh gosh. Okay. I got a question from Walter here, our good friend Walter. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow in Galarian specifically?
Just watched that
Obviously
last night.
African. Obviously African.
Garundi or Taldoran?
Garundi. Because I have a feeling Garundi swallows would be gnarly in some way.
I mean, it is fantasy Africa.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that question, Mongo, but thank you.
I think we just did. But on a more serious note, if you could go back in time and save or prevent a character death, who would you save in this AP? Because that might be a little bit longer list for Rachel. It might be a little bit easier, but at the same time, if you could reach back and be like, no, you're fine.
I mean, our only two PC characters are Rizurk and Valmo, and I would save Rizurk because that was so out of the blue, but I do feel bad that Valmo didn't get much story. They died so quickly. So,
When you
or we could save the
walk,
NPCs.
when Valmo literally walks into an ooze. Yeah.
It was a bad day.
I have an answer for this. Justice for the Blood Mouse.
Oh yeah, the blood mouse.
The poor blood
I had
mouse.
to. Jason texted me and said I had to be chaotic evil.
Oh,
Had
well,
to do it.
you did it.
I
You
did
well
it.
with that.
Yeah, but not the blood mouse.
I know. I should have killed one of the twins or something. But
Yeah.
my plan was to turn the crew against Kalupi, but Syl is actually not super trained in deception. They have intimidation and diplomacy, but not deception. I know.
Still wish Timothy did not talk Kalupi out of being an absolute stinker. 'Cause I would have loved to see what the fucking crew did to him. If Timothy did not be like, oh, hey, whoa, calm down, chillax, my guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, actually, Jason, like, what do you think would have happened in that situation if Timothy wouldn't have talked it down? As the GM, like, kind of putting you on the spot here, but like, what do you think? How would you have played that situation? Like, how would that have escalated?
That's when the blood mouse was in his underwear drawer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and again, knowing that he's the big bad evil guy and not wanting to reveal that to until the proper moment, which was the ritual in the volcano. I think Kalupi I would have played it more as Kalupi just kind of goes along with it and is playing the simpleton, almost like, all right, fine, whatever, I'll do what you want. Just throw me in the stocks or throw me in the I forget
In the brig or something like that.
Yeah, my pirate ship terminology.
I'm marooning him.
Yeah.
And you could have marooned him too, and he would have been fine because he couldn't fly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like he would have come back regardless. Whether you threw him in the brig, tossed him overboard, tried to kill him, he would have faked to death because his deception is really fucking high. It's like, oh, you actually missed the stab because you didn't meet his AC. But he's rolling deception to play dead.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. All right.
Yeah, that probably would have been it. Because at that level, they were level 7.
Mm-hmm.
He's a level 11 or level 12. He's a level 12 character, so he's 5 levels higher than the PCs at that point.
The Hege ain't got shit on us. We got this. We clear those.
It's fine. I didn't hear any bell. It's fine.
No bell.
I didn't hear no goddamn bell.
It's over, Rock.
It's over. But Quandary actually brings up a really good question that I've often been curious about. For all of you, in one way or another, how does playing or GMing for a podcast change the way your approach and your choices go? Like, do you find yourself taking more risks as a player? Is it because you know it'll be more interesting as a GM? Do you are you tempted every once in a while to be like, no, that rolled to a natural 1. You don't die horrifically. You're not beheaded. It's fine. Like, you know, how does that all translate for everyone?
For me, I definitely have the reaction to play way more cautiously and be a lot more deliberate with my choices because I don't want my character to die. I absolutely don't want it to die. Not in front of people. That's embarrassing. What? I don't want to die in front of people. You kidding me? I'm supposed to be good at games, right? So I get in my own head a lot. So I end up really preparing and like being very deliberate with certain choices whenever I have a camera pointed in my face, or I guess in this situation a microphone pointed at my mouth. But that's my personal reaction. Probably not a good reaction.
It's good for a cleric to be careful.
Yeah.
Go
That
first,
does play
Rachel.
into Vesuviac's nature.
Lunar,
If you
you
want Rachel.
Yeah, or Rachel.
I'm trying to think. I think a few times during like camp scenes, I would try to make sure that Syl was initiating conversation with everybody, even briefly, which didn't happen often. But I don't know. It's hard for me to distinguish between what I do for this character versus what I do for a podcast. I feel like I'll have a better idea after Sky King, because everything I did felt like this is what Syl would do, and that's true. Anytime I play a game, I try to play the character. So
Yeah. I guess for me, when Jackson knows, I really like playing characters that have like a lot of story behind them and stuff like that. But I'm also, because I've done a few shows as well too, I also do have the thought of like what would make the best storyline, what would make a really good plot point and things like that. And that's just with anything though. It doesn't matter for podcasts, it doesn't matter for just personal games. I'm always thinking about what would be more interesting. So the reason why Timothy did put himself into danger so much was, one, you absolutely would line in character with him, but also two, I felt like it made more scenes more intense and definitely like added more to like the fire of like, hey, I want to make these actions for a reason, I guess, to say it. And then I also really did like doing a lot of the role play scenes, because I'm very much a role play person and not a dice person first. Jackson also knows this very well. I really like a good scene. So when I got to do those scenes, I wanted to make sure those had the impact, but it was also like I could think quickly on my feet to be like, let's make this scene happen.
Mm-hmm.
For me, so there isn't a whole lot I do different from GMing at a table versus GMing for the show when it comes to the actual mechanical GMing parts of it. Now, when it comes to planning, that is a bit different. How do I want to put this? So the crew will tell you that there were a couple times when, before we hit the record button, I would be like, okay, so this is what's going to happen. Not giving like full-on spoilers, but like, here's going to be the beats that are going to happen. And in order for us to keep it within the hour and a half window, try not to get too like distracted, like shiny objects. You know, let's stick to the beats, the story beats as they are. That's not something I would do normally when I'm GMing. Like if somebody wants to be like Doug from the Up movie, and it's like, oh, get this completely distracted with this shiny object, and we go off to the left field at a table, I'll just let that happen. All right, fine, we're going off to the left field. What do you guys do? But for a show, it's a little bit different. So like I would try to rein in some of those opportunities beforehand, which I don't know if that's a satisfying answer as a listener or not. That I'm kind of putting the guardrails up for the players instead of just letting them run wild. But
I think that brings up a point from the players too. I think the one thing I did differently, I think Corey mentioned this too, maybe it was Corey, that normally I would find an excuse to be a completionist and look at every single room, but because it's a recording and I want to stay in story, it's like we're generally on a timeline and I don't like, it doesn't make sense to actually just go look at all of these little rooms. So
yeah, it's certainly a challenge that just comes with performing a tabletop role-playing game experience for an audience, is that, you know, you don't have the time to really get into the nitty-gritty of like the dungeons that you're in. You can't full clear every room. You may not necessarily be able to like stop and do a whole bunch of crafting stuff. Like all the crafting and gear upgrades and everything we did was off screen. Whereas, you know, that could normally happen at a table. It happens at my table whenever I run the RuneScape game. We all talk about that during the live session. So the camera adds a lot of pressure. That's really what I wanted to say.
Well, yeah. And I don't know, that makes a lot of sense. And you all are putting yourselves out there in a lot of ways, you know, to be open to criticism, be open to like nitpicking certain choices that a character made or didn't make, but in the moment make a lot of sense. You know, as a listener, as someone that listened from the beginning, Jason, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think that the way you all described it makes a lot of sense too. It's less guardrails, as more as like, here, we're going to stay within these margins here just a bit. What you all do in the margins, that's fine. But we got to stay in the margins, at least for now.
Yeah, regardless of what happens, we have a show to put on, and we gotta keep things moving. So,
Yeah, and I did also, full disclosure. So for book 3, as an audience member, Tyler, you can attest to this. Book 3, the pacing was Spitfire. Like it was, the characters were going beat to beat to beat to beat to beat to beat to beat. There wasn't a whole lot of downtime. There was the downtime at the very beginning with the party, and then there was downtime at the very end when they're setting up the defenses for Rome Plank. But between those, like it was, you're going from point A to B to C to D, rapid fire. And that's something that I did tell the players ahead of time as well. And I wouldn't have done that at a normal table, but like I had to tell the players, like, guys, this is going to be fast. We're going to be moving from beat to beat really fucking fast. So just keep that in mind when you're playing your character, that your characters are literally trying to track down. You're like bounty hunting this bad guy to bring the kidnappees back. So go in with that mindset that, hey, I'm not going to be able to search every single room in the dungeon. I'm not going to take a week's worth of downtime to retrain my feet. Like, you're trying to find these kidnappees. So,
that makes sense. And then, Jason, I got one final question here. Just one more. Unoma. One more. You took a big risk, and all of you did, playing a third-party AP. It's something that a lot of people that start off a podcast in terms of Pathfinder go with a more well-known type of standard. This is the story that we're telling. How did it live up to other adventures that you ran? And, how did the cast, all these fine folks here, change the story? Other than, turning really simple encounters into almost killing everybody and or really hard encounters into trivial ones, how'd that all play? How'd that all work for you? Because this was kind of a risk too, about putting something like this out and going with it.
I'll let the crew answer first, because I will probably take up a lot of time answering that question.
I would say that it's, for me, like I said before, I normally play homebrew, and I very, very rarely ever play some sort of like official module or even like a pre-written module produced by a third party. I think that in my personal experiences, there are advantages to both. And what I like about the AP for a podcast is that there's already like a set list of expectations for how the campaign is going to go, and those plot points and those things aren't really going to be changing because the AP is written to account for those changes. Whereas with a homebrew situation that I'm much more familiar with, very fast and loose, I've had entire stories change at the drop of the hat because a character made a decision that I was not expecting. And I think that I'm definitely rambling here, but I'm thinking that the AP was definitely a very, very good choice for a podcast where we want to deliberately tell a story and stay on rails.
I don't really have an opinion to kind of add on with this, just because I like playing games. Doesn't really matter if it's a first edition or third party. I just like being a part of them. If anything, the only thing I felt like is just myself, and I obviously could have been better about this, was doing more role play. But again, at the end of the day, you live with the decisions you make on the show, and it is what it is.
I do think this AP definitely had a lot. You could tell that the whole story was connected by a single vision, more so than some other APs where each book feels more segmented. I mean, they were segmented thematically, it was tonal, but the story was continuous, and I appreciated that the authors took the time to do that, or had the foundation. I think the structure of Paizo versus Battle Zoo is just different, but I liked that.
Yeah, it is different. I know that some of the newer official first party APs do have more of that interconnected thread. I think the developer behind them, because that's how it's structured, is there's a developer who oversees the entire arc of the campaign, and then there's individual writers who write the books.
Right.
And so a lot of the old days, a lot of the writers didn't communicate with the other writers as much as we probably would appreciate. But they also are working on a timeline, and they have to get this out at a certain date. So it's up to the developer to make sure that there's a cohesive story told in place. This AP, since it is Battlezoo and it is third party, they don't have those restrictions. They are not working within a timeline. They are not working within a set number of pages that they have to maintain. So Stephen had the liberty to go back and review and go back to the writers to make these changes, and then the writer makes the changes. All right, well, here, this is what Linda Zayas Palmer is doing in book 3. Let's add something to book 2 to tie that in. And so they had that luxury, which was great. That being said, it was a third-party book. We did take that risk. It's not as, I don't want to say it's not as well known, because people know what Battlezoo is, but it's not Paizo. It's not an official adventure path. So that comes with some like pros and cons. The pros I just mentioned, but the cons being that people aren't as aware of that AP, so we very obviously didn't get the audience that we would have normally gotten, I think, if we went with a first-party AP. I really appreciate the audience we do have, and I love each and every one of you. So not to disparage that, but... And the second thing was that it wasn't written for Galarian. It was written for, I forget the name of the world, but it's written for a world that wasn't Galarian. So it took quite a bit of massaging on my part to make it fit. The two gods were not Saren Ray and Caden Kalian. There were two other gods that were for that deity system that's written in that world. The evil god wasn't Rovagug. That's something that I made because the behemoth just made sense to me as another spawn of Rovagug. Now, that's not in lore, obviously. I'm making it fit into Galarian lore, making my own contribution to it. But it was written for a different demon lord by the name of Varigix.
What'd you call me?
Which you could probably tell with the whole like gold and wealth and I want to hoard all the gold stuff. Doesn't quite fit with Rovagug as much as you would think.
Yeah.
But I try to make it work as best I can. And the other big con for me was I was working with what I had. When we started this, but only book 1 was out. Book 2 was delayed and book 3 was delayed. So I didn't have all 3 books in front of me, and I didn't get all 3 books to the end of book 1. And that's why I feel like book 2 and 3 at least sounded more cohesive on the show. That's the way I felt. I could also just be in my own head, because you're your own worst critic.
Characters too, so I'm sure that helped the cohesion.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question, Quandary.
Oh, yeah.
Was that Quandary's question?
It was Quandary's question, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the only other burning question I have as we wrap things up here with questions from and to the 2 crew is, can we get a sense of how excited y'all are for Sky King's Tomb? Can we get a little hint about who's playing what, and maybe a little tidbit, a little kernel of information here?
Well, let me give you a bit of a teaser for our new crew member. Mags is joining us. You might have noticed him in the Discord. and he will be joining us as a champion of Apsu. Apsu, if you're familiar with Galarian lore, is the dragon god.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
Are we dropping vague hints right now as to what we're going to be?
Teasing. We're dropping some teasers.
I mean, I can say that I am a rogue for sure, but I wouldn't call myself dexterous either.
Okay. All right. Okay.
No, you talking about yourself or your rogue?
Yeah.
That's for you to find out, buddy.
What would you like to know, Mother Boy? I feel like Rachel, you should go.
I can go. I mean, I'm playing. I imagine someone who's going to be pretty much the opposite of Syl in pretty much most ways, if they turn out to be the way that I envisioned them, which Syl did not. So we'll see.
You did not envision yourself as the mom of the party.
No, Syl was going to be much more chaotic, and then Sarah was at the table, and I was like, I can't out chaotic Sarah.
In this environment.
So yeah, between all the sillies we had, Syl had to be straight-laced character. But now, well, not silly. This new character I don't think will be silly, but religious. So that would be new. I've been playing mostly atheist characters for a few years. So
You know, it's always fun when you make a character deliberately to be a nutcase, and it still ends up being the straight man to the party.
yeah, I mean that could just be me too, because I don't do well with new groups of people. So
So far, 2 religious characters.
religious. Jason said we had to be heroic, and that's the same as religious, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. They totally go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I can't think of any type of time in history where religious folks weren't.
They've always just done good things. I think.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I'm trying to-
especially that cleric of Lamashtu. That's such a good person.
Yeah.
So I'm having fun with my character because I tried to bend that rule as much as I possibly can.
Be heroic. Nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely tossing around the idea of my character being like an ex-con or something like that.
Nice.
Did you hear that too?
Yeah, I did. That was somebody else outside. I
Okay.
think.
Noises in our apartment.
Dude,
Oh,
we
dear.
live nearby like a stretch of road where everyone likes to speed. Apparently, it's awful. I guess the biggest hint that I could give to who my character is or what my character is per se. And how do I, Jason? I'm trying to figure out how I would say without telling, like too much about them. Just get ready for some hard crimes to be solved.
They're cute too, right?
Yeah, they're very cute.
Yeah.
You can make a mention that it's a battle zoo ancestry.
That is true. That it is a battle zoo ancestry.
Wait a minute. Are you playing Detective Pikachu in Galarian?
No. But you are on the right path of a detective.
Oh. Okay. All right. Excited.
Detective
Okay.
Pikachu sounds like an amazing character to play as a
God, I
game.
wish.
Oh yeah, they have those. They have the bunny ancestry in Battle Zoo that could substitute for
Or the
For-
folk,
Oh, yeah.
God.
who's technically mouse.
and
correct?
yeah, you could, and then you could be like a lightning kineticist.
Oh, that is
Oh, yeah.
Jason,
There
can
it
you
is.
kill my character so I can make a new one?
You're the healer.
Oh, okay.
No,
Yeah, that's fine.
Rachel
They'll
is,
just have a secondary of wood. It's fine.
if for whatever reason your character goes down and so does my character, my backup character's already going to be a healer, man. I've already figured it
Nice.
out.
As far as a teaser for the adventure, as you have heard the crew say, that I kind of gave them the mandate that I want them to play characters with that have some heroism to them. Now, how they interpret that heroism is up to them. The reason being that one of the big questions that I want the players to experience while they go through this adventure is, what does it mean to be true to yourself when you yourself or the surroundings are so informed by legend and history. And what happens when that legend and history comes into question? We're going back to those individual conflict points. I wanted each one of them to experience that conflict point and what it means to be a true hero to yourself versus how you've been interpreted by your society. And what does that mean when everything that was interpreted by, that is informing that particular society, comes into question? So that is the big philosophical thrust that I'm going into this adventure with.
Very interesting. Okay, well, you know what? I just speak for myself and my legion of small goblin avatars I leave all over the Discords, but looking forward to it and appreciate y'all and everything you do. I can't imagine that this is always easy or, simple to find time to get together and to put out entertainment for all of us. So, big appreciation. And that is all the questions that I will pepper you with this evening. Yeah. And that's it for me.
Well, I just have one more thing. Does the crew have any questions for each other?
Mm-hmm.
I am a little bit sad that Vesuviac and Syl never got to hash it out about the whole Vuli thing, because Vesuviac got that name drop, but we didn't get a good chance to talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, I hope it came across in the story that Vuli is Syl's birth name, and
Yes.
They got amnesia from a head injury, and so I was trying to play it. Hopefully it came across that Syl was slowly getting memories back, not that it was like dual personality or hidden identity or something. But Vuli was an awful person, so they were really bad, which was really fun because, I mean, I think I wrote my cold opens and had some story points, but I also know that Jason really likes integrating characters into stories, so I put it on him right away and said, Jason, I'm taking amnesic background, so do with the backstory what you want. And then it became collaborative, right, where I had some points and you had some points, but super fun. But yes, that would have been fun to hash it out. Is Vesuviac's dad still alive?
Yes. Yeah, I don't know if Vesuviac's full backstory ever got fully revealed, but the idea is that Vesuviac's dad was like a dragon king of the mountain range that Vesuviac lived in, and found out about Vesuviac having a relationship with a silver dragon, and effectively killed the silver dragon, broke eggs that they had, and was like, all right, if you want to be a part of this family, you're going to go burn down that city over there. And that was the rampage that he then went on.
Right.
So he's still very alive. BBEG for another campaign.
What's he going to do when he sees Timothy? Yeah.
I was like, you fucking pissed.
Not even a dragon.
You downgraded from a dragon to a twink.
That's why he will never find out.
That works well.
Yeah.
He can't be mad about it if he doesn't know.
Exactly.
What happened to Timothy's daughter, right?
Yeah.
Cassandra.
Yeah.
But we never hear about Cassandra's mom.
So, I alluded to this. I don't know if it ever got dropped. Timothy found Cassandra.
Right.
That's not his actual kid. He adopted her.
I remember the adoption. I didn't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, he found her when a town was under attack back in his hometown. And he ended up in that town from the Dark Star, actually, funny enough. So when he woke up there and heard all this fighting and chaos, he found this scared kid and just took it upon himself to take care of her and got her out of the danger. And that has been his daughter ever since.
Nice.
Timothy's mom's still very much alive and was taking care of Cassandra the entire time, by the way.
Timothy's mom?
Yeah, Timothy's mom.
Okay, so her grandma then.
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure I got it right. Oh. Did she come back to the Indigo Isles when Timothy and everyone came back to visit?
I would say
grandmother? Okay.
Yeah, I would absolutely say that she definitely came to tag along, mostly because she just wanted to see what kind of parties these people got to. She is very much a fun grandma to be around, has some wild stories to tell.
I used to be an adventurer like you.
Yeah.
Until I took an arrow to the knee.
Yeah. Dumb broke my good knee.
As far as a little bit of lore drop for Jackson and for the listeners. Vesuviak's father is a dragon by the name of Mashabat. Mashabat is an ancient magma dragon that dwells in the vast chamber hidden deep beneath Highhelm, the Dwarven mountain ranges. Within Droskar's Crag, the largest volcano in the inner sea region, and rumor holds that Mashabat counts at least one legendary dwarven artifact among his horde.
So it sounds like Vesuviak might get some comeuppance here, except not by his own hands.
We could make a Vesuviak sibling. Does Vesuviak have
You could
siblings?
also make a Vesuviak NPC cameo.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Vesuviak and Timothy show up. They're on vacation.
Vacation to the dwarven cities.
Listen.
Who's
They're
trying to
just-
find Zaba? You went over
Yeah,
there, right?
exactly. Zaba dipped out on them. They want to see where they went. They're doing this for Syl, too. So, like...
I don't think I had any questions, I think.
I've got none, man. I mean, like I said, I'm just really grateful for the fact that I got to, be a part of this all. Thank you for taking the risk of having me and Jackson on your show together.
Yeah, absolutely. I still remember how when Jason reached out to me about the show, Lunar and I were at the final RTX.
Yeah, that's
just hanging out at a
right.
convention. And Lunar was like, oh, hey, do you want to play Pathfinder? And within, 2 weeks, we were recording?
Yeah,
It was a real
quick.
quick turnaround for me.
it was really fast, too, because that same time, I had episodes for the Roaring Trainers officially releasing that I was a guest player on. And so I know some people came in to this AP and got a very different experience of what I am as a player compared to what they got to see on TRT. And it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Thank you guys again. I'm sorry, I'm
No
smiling.
problem.
This has been a blast. I cannot state how excited I am for the Dwarf campaign purely because of the character that I'm going to be playing.
So real quick, before we go.
Yes.
So in total, we've recorded 168 hours, 55 minutes, and 52 seconds of the main show. That doesn't include the bonus content, for which we have 56 hours, 10 minutes, and 58 seconds.
Jesus.
What's the over-under that we're going to hit 169 hours in the Dwarf in Sky King?
We're going to
Guaranteed
hit
if
it
we play our cards
exactly.
right.
So, what's the
Yeah.
under on 169 hours?
No, we're
Whoa.
going to hit it exactly on the dot. And we're going to all
Yeah.
say collective nice to pan out the time to make it be 169.
Yeah, we're going to get to episode 169. The episode title is going to be Nice, and it's the finale of the series.
Oh, that would be absolutely hilarious, actually.
You pull a Dungeons
108.
and Daddies where they did episode 68 and then episode 68 part 2. And that's how they ended the show. It's so funny.
It's funny.
And I want to hear from the audience too. So, what do you think what's the over under of 169 hours for Sky King?
Once again, nice.
I'm taking the over. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of AP roleplay, and I'm excited to see what happens, honestly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with that, thank you, Tyler, for hosting us.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so
thank you.
much.
Happy to do it. It's always fun to hang out with y'all.
Thanks.
And hope you guys enjoyed Jewel the Indigo Isles. Drop your comments, any feedback you have in the Discord. Otherwise, we'll see you in about a month
Yeah.
as we record this. See you in about a month for the first handful of episodes of 25 Below.
Yeah.
Awesome. Bye, y'all.
May your
Bye.
party never
Party never
end.
ends.
Mm.